Okay, so me and Dom the Dominator are going in his Velociter to the junkyard to get one junky boy. What junky boy are we getting? Well, it has two spinny boys. And, well, can do this when we actually get there.
I found the real unreliable engine.
Yeah, the biggest piece of shit ever. These things do not fucking last, and if you say they do, you're wrong. There's a Miata.
Oh shit.
So you can get that and have a hell of a time rebuilding it. No, you can't because it's in the junkyard. Yeah.
Put a 12A inside.
Oh, actually, this is the junkyard that I bought my RX-7 from. So the cars over in this lot over here are the junk tear apart cars. Over there are the complete cars you can buy. And when I bought my RX-7, it was $1,000, as is. Alright, so here is the RX-8 that I pulled the engine out of, and here's all the carnage I left.
God.
Yeah, the clutch is actually in pretty decent shape.
Look, it's got ducted.
Someone took the pressure plate. Why? Why would you take just a pressure plate? So when I pulled this engine out, the only things that I actually had on me, I didn't bring all the tools like I said before with me that I needed. So all I had with me to pull this engine out was a 17 mil and 19 mil spanner wrench, 12 mil ratcheting spanner wrench, a ratchet, and then a 10 mil and 14 mil socket and a long extension. Then also I had a pair of pliers. I use the pliers to cut the hoses and stuff like that.
You forgot the valve cover.
Oh, RX-8 valve cover.
Yep.
Yeah, because RX-8s have valves and shit, don't they? Anyway, I'm going to show you all the carnage that I left in this car. Look in here. Oh, there's all the hoses I cut with the pliers. It was a pain in the dick. And then I dropped the subframe. And that was a pain in the dick. Just doing with a couple spanner wrenches. Use the 17 mil and the 19 mil to do that. Everything's pretty much all assembled over here. Let's see, what else did I do? Oh, bumper's still there. I might actually grab that. So the only thing I grabbed out of here was that dash cover, which sold within 2 hours for $100. Only paid $8 for it. Good profit. And yeah, these engine mounts weren't fun to pull off either. But I did, and well, I broke a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit that's unusable in here now. Okay, so I only walked over here to show you the car that I pulled everything out of and all this shit I left over here. We're gonna walk back over and then strip that engine down and then buy it as just a bare block because it's cheaper that way.
Okay.
All right, so here is the Junkyard Rotary engine. So let's see. Got to pull off this intake manifold. To pull off one bolt of the right side engine mount so I can get the exhaust off. The exhaust is just kind of floating there, but yeah. And then the biggest bitch is going to be getting this flywheel nut off. Over here, Dominic is holding my flywheel stopper bar in case my flywheel stopper doesn't work.
I was distracted by this.
Yes, it is a big piece of shit. And let's see, what else am I pulling off of this? I think that's about it. Then you can just buy it as a bare block and
buy the dipstick with it.
Oh yes, got to get these oil lines off. So yeah, let's get to it. Alright, so here we got pretty much everything off. We surprisingly got this flywheel nut off pretty damn easily. It took us like less than 30 seconds to get it off. But we're just gonna see how the compression pulses sound. So do 6 180 turns.
Ready?
Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This sounds like a pretty healthy engine.
6 good apex seals.
Yep. It spraying me with a bunch of shit. So So this is probably a perfectly good Junkyard Renaissance keg.
And non-blown rotary engine from the junkyard.
Woo! That makes 2. One being my RX-7.
It's a good sound.
Okay, so we just got out of the, well, just got done paying for the engine. And the grand total for it, without a core, give him focus.
No.
Could be. $103 for a potentially perfectly good Renaissance engine. Not bad.
We had a slight disaster though.
Yeah, there's oil all over the bottom. Forgot there's oil inside the E-shaft. That's where it leaked from.
It's stinky. Oh, my car's gonna stink now. Oh.
Okay, so we just got the car wash. We're gonna pull this engine out, put it on these little drain thingies, and then we're just gonna spray it down and hopefully it gets it cleaned up a little bit so it's a little less of a pain in the dick to clean the parts off, because, well, cleaning these parts off are kind of a pain in the dick. So let's go ahead and get to that. Okay, so you're probably wondering why I took it to a car wash to wash it off when I could just pull it apart and clean it by hand and everything. Well, this engine's coming apart anyway. I wasn't planning on swapping it or anything, although I really want to swap it into my RX-7. Being a 6-port and I don't have an adapter plate for it, I'm not going to do that. But I just wanted to get these fairly clean before this engine fairly clean before I pull it apart. That way, when I pull it apart and then clean it the rest of the way by hand, it's not as hard to do so. So I also emptied out the oil pan as much as I could by spraying water down in there. It's coming apart, so it's not really any damage done. This engine is being parted out, so yeah. But it's got really fucking clean. And there is a lot of clutch debris in that rear iron that is now gone. So now we're gonna put this back in there and then get to my storage unit. So yeah, let's do it. Engine, okay, so engine's out of the velocitator and it is on the stand now. And I can only find one bolt to mount into the block for the mounting plate thingy. I don't know if that fits in there.
Doesn't. Whoa.
Yeah.
But we got to move the engine forward a little bit.
Well, just give it some lube. Everything fits with lube.
See if I can. It's not working too well.
Don't fuck my engine. And in all honesty, it is a junkyard engine, so it probably is already fucked. But
this whore.
Yeah. Oh look, we got a injector gasket with this engine.
Sweet, that's a steal.
Woot.
It's probably worth more than the engine.
Exactly. But yeah. Anyway, the plan is to come back a little bit later and then start tearing this engine down, and then just seeing how good this really is. Oh my god. I'll stay in front of my car so it doesn't get shit all over it.
You mean water?
Yeah. Spitting out the plug ports.
That's probably why it's not holding compression.
Yeah. Probably.
Because look. Oh.
It's fine. It'll hold it wherever.
Oh.
Yeah. We're gonna go now. I'm gonna come back later and then probably do a time lapse of tearing this apart. Okay, so it's now later and time to disassemble that engine. So let's go ahead and get to it now. so I just got the rear iron off, and just getting the first look at the rear rotor. Looks like it pulled some of the side sills out when I took it off, but from what I can tell here anyway, the housing, iron, rear iron, and rotor appear to all be good. Let's go look at the rear rotor. So a lot of times when there's like a side sill or corner sill failure or something like that, or carbon gets all bunched up in this exhaust port in this top portion area, it'll scratch the shit all the way up through here, destroy the intake ports, and just wreak havoc inside. Let's see, RX-7 Specialties, the YouTube channel. Look them up. They talk about exhaust porting on the Renesis, and I might have that done on the Series 2 engine in the R3S1 over there at some point. But one thing that they mention is if you look at this exhaust port, the very top of it, there's like a big old ridge right there. And what happens is carbon deposits just collect up there, and eventually they break loose and then just go into the engine and just wreak havoc. And that's where a lot of Renesis engine failures come from. So what they do is they offer CNC porting, where they can either do as little as just smoothing out that notch, or porting out the exhaust port itself to be a lot bigger. And I'll just link the video in the description below, and then you can watch it for yourself. And he can explain everything to you better than I can. But anyway, he offers a great service for a great price for Renesis engines in the exhaust port area. As far as porting for the Renesis, it's not really beneficial at all. Hasn't really been proven to be beneficial in any way, except for maybe like up to 1 to 5 wheel horsepower gain. And the reliability just isn't there anymore. But that's a debate for another day. But anyway, let's get the rest of this engine taken apart, and yeah. Alright, so here's the engine fully disassembled, and well, kind of had a feeling about this, but this engine is about as near perfect as a junkyard engine can get, really, or a junkyard rotary engine anyway. So first we're going to take a look at, well, the rotors. So rotors are pretty caked in carbon, both of them, and it looks like this engine wasn't exactly driven hard and abused like it should have been. So probably kept at low revs or something like that, and I'm not really sure what the failure on the car itself might have been. I don't think it was the engine, because this engine is too damn good to have been for it to have gone down because of something related to the engine. Let's see. So look in here. Well, it's pretty dirty in there, but bearings look very, very nice. I think it's possible this engine might have been rebuilt at some point. Bearings are good. Check the stationary gear bearings. Both those bearings are good. There isn't a single broken sill. Here's all the side sills. I couldn't locate all the apex sill springs, but all apex sills are intact. Also lost 2 corner sills. I have 4 right here. Here's all the side sills of the other rotor. Then see 6. Yeah, these are corner sills. These are part of the apex sill. So all corner sills are intact. No issues there. And let's see, I'm going to talk about that apex sill in a minute, because that's from the color B. Now the housings, this one is absolutely immaculate. This is what you want to see in a used housing. No flaking of any kind anywhere. Let's see, any marks you see or streaks going up and down that way is just me wiping my hand across, and just debris from oil and stuff that went through the engine. So no issues with that at all. I'll get some detailed pictures and post it for sale and stuff there, so you can see it. This one is in almost as good a condition, but it does have a little bit of flaking in this area over here. I don't know if you can see that too well. This housing is definitely usable. You could use it as is, but I would definitely highly recommend getting it resurfaced. My suggestion would be to send it to Sean Landers. That's who I'm sending my Killer Bee housings to, because he charges $100 for a pair, and then you just pay shipping to and from. So let's see, the entire quote that I got, shipped to and from resurfaced, was $185 from Utah. So hit him up. I'll put his information in the description below. But yeah, both these housings are definitely usable. This one is immaculate. This one could use a little bit of work, but is definitely usable. Now on the irons, we already looked at the rear iron. This is good. There's some crap on it because I used a napkin to try and wipe it off, and it just got debris everywhere. But yeah, rear iron's perfectly good. Step wear, I can't really feel it at all. I know it's there. There it is. But it's not enough to call this bad. It's very well within spec. I don't have anything to measure it with to give a precise number, but it's definitely in spec. Now, what I was talking about before when I got this rear iron off, you can see it right here. This little black buildup right here. That is all carbon debris that's built up in that little ridge. And you know, if that were to break off and go into the engine, that would tank this side of the engine. So this would be the front rotor, where this would go. So the front rotor would absolutely be destroyed, and only the rear portion would be still good. So yeah, that's what I was talking about before. So again, RX-7 Specialties, watch their video on that and he'll explain everything about that. But this is a perfect example of why it would be good to at least port that little ridge out, and why I'm going to be doing that for the Series 2 engine in my RX-8 in the future. Now for comparison, look at the other side. Notice how there's no buildup right there. That's all out. Now, step wear, I didn't really check both sides, but both are very minimal. Now here is the front iron. Also the same, very, very minimal step wear. So this entire engine is perfectly good and reusable and rebuildable. I actually think you can just reuse these sills and be just fine. Although I'd highly recommend against doing that, because it's always definitely better to use brand new seals and springs and everything. But you could actually get away with reusing these Apex side sills and springs and stuff. Let's see, the oil control rings are oil control rings. I don't know why I said wings. But, oil control rings are usually always reusable. There's not really much bad that can come from that. Of course, new is better, but these are expensive as shit. For a set, they're about $350, $400, something like that. But it's very rare that they actually go bad and you need to replace them. So, you know, reuse them and they're just fine. Yeah, I'm gonna clean these up a little bit and take some pictures of it, of the engine parts, and post them up for sale. And you know, if any of you are interested in any of these parts, I don't exactly have a exact price to give you for each individual part right now, but if I still have them by the time this video goes up and you see it, then hit me up, let me know. And yeah, but $103 from a junkyard for just a bare block got me a perfectly good and reusable Renesis engine. Okay, so there you have it. A Junkyard Rotary engine can definitely be 100% good and reusable. Now, this doesn't always happen. You can check your local junkyards, and you know, if you get lucky enough, like I did, get a cheap, perfectly usable engine, then you know, more power to you. This actually happened to me 3 times, this being the third. The first time was a let's see, I think it was an 88 FC, so a Series 4 6-port, and yeah, pulled that engine apart. It was actually really, really nasty on the inside. There was a lot of buildup, and you know, it was pretty much carbon locked. yeah, that is a thing in rotary engines. If there's too much carbon, the engine can lock on that carbon and it can no longer spin. There's a little bit of play in that engine, but I was able to get it apart, clean all the parts up, and I sold it for a fair profit. Ended up selling the whole thing for 250 bucks. The whole engine from the junkyard was 40 bucks. It was bought under the same circumstances. The second one was a Series 1 6-port. I think it was out of an 06. Same engine, same exact engine in every way. But anyway, bought that under the same circumstances, and that one was $80 plus $20 for the flywheel, because I couldn't get that flywheel off because I didn't have the tool with me. Let's see, and then this one was $103, and you know, everything in here is absolutely perfect. So far I bought 3 junkyard engines, and if you include my RX-7, which the whole car came from the junkyard, 13B in that was perfectly good, except it had low oil pressure, or failing oil pressure, that turned into you know, no oil pressure. But I guess technically that's 4, because I got a whole car too. But yeah, I've had a lot of good luck at the junkyards, and you can too. I won't say that you will always find unicorn engines like this, because these are definitely unicorn engines, and that goes for pretty much any engine you buy from the junkyard. But for a rotary engine, I'm actually really impressed that I've been able to find this many in this good a shape, and you know, make a pretty decent profit off of them. But anyway, hope you like this video. If you have any suggestions how I can improve on my videos, comment, rate, subscribe in the comment section below. Follow me on my Facebook. My Facebook is just my name, Nate Rist, and my Instagram is @6tally0. All right, see ya.